So I will be briefing about myocardial infarction, how it happens and how it is managed. First of all, symptoms, its pathophysiology, how it occurs, and what you can do and what is the management. So first of all, myocardial infarction is a very vast topic, and I will be briefing about it to main points only. So first of basically what happens in myocardial infarction, you all know it is basically layman knows it by the name of myocardial infarction, by the name of heart attack. So what are the symptoms? Symptoms, as you all know, chest pain, heavy chest pain, heaviness, tightness, radiating to left arm or back or epigastric region or even right side. That all can happen. Perspiration, sweating is a very ignored symptom in it. Sometimes only perspiration, only sweating is only the symptom, so it is very important you don't ignore it. And then third is dizziness, heaviness in the chest, even epigastric pain is ignored symptom. So now I will be discussing about how it occurs. Basically what happens is our heart is such an organ that it pumps 24 into 7 without any pause, without any break. So it has to be continuously supplied with blood and oxygen. So these are the two main ingredients in these substrates for it to utilize, to produce energy and to pump for it properly. So what happens when supply demand mismatch occurs? So it basically occurs when the main coronary arteries which are supplying the heart is are blocked, or when stenosis occurs, or when sudden acute blood flow stops. So it can happen in even in stenosis, atherosclerotic process, even in thrombotic events, even in infection also, even in heavy exercise, even in COVID, viral, other viral, even in when you are ascending to high altitude, sudden high altitude sickness, even when you are lifting some weight, heavy weight. So basically what happens is when the demand for other organs for blood increases in such a disproportionate amount that heart cannot pump. So basically what happens is this ischemia occurs. What is ischemia? Ischemia is lack of oxygen and blood supply to heart muscle. So what is heart muscle? Heart muscle, as you all know, it is continuously supplying the blood to all the organs of the body. So what happens is there is atria, there is ventricle, left ventricle and right ventricle. I am not going into those details. So what happens? The symptoms, as you all know, when neurohormonal mechanisms they activate, and when you the demand supply mismatch occurs, so it manifests itself as heart attack. Heart attack is symptoms I already discussed. So how can you diagnose basically? So diagnosis is first of all clinically. You have to have very alert in this. You have to be very careful. So what happens is sudden acute chest pain with perspiration occurs. So this is the clinical symptom. Then epigastric pain, dizziness, perspiration, vomiting, all can happen, and you have to diagnose immediately. You refer with this time period should be less, because heart muscle damage occurs if supplies if this time delay occurs. So what happens is you do ECG, electrocardiogram. Immediately you have to see ECG and ST elevation, non-ST elevation, T-wave inversions, other LBB blocks. Anything can occur depending on your age, depending on your territory involvement, depending on coronary involvement, depending on which coronary artery is involved. So ECG then occurs. ECG, you all know, is the first investigation of choice. So what happens is you have to be very careful. ST elevation is the first. You have to thrombolize within 6 hours. Then is uh, you have to do TM. These are all then when silent ischemia has occurred, then you have to go for other investigations like TMT, Holter, and other. Second is echo. Echocardiography is basically when a long-standing ischemia is occurring, and then after that you have then patient presents, and even after acute stage also you have to go for echo after some time, because you have to see the damage. You have to see which wall is not moving properly, which segment is involved. That is called regional wall motion abnormality, which even signs of heart failure, you have to see the myocardium, which type of failure it is, whether it is LVF, acute LVF, whether it is right ventricular failure, or whether it is congestive cardiac failure, or it is ischemic cardiomyopathy, which territory is involved, right ventricular, apical, septal. So all you have to see. Then is basically this management options. So what you can do? Immediately you have to see, diagnose, and reassure, and immediately you have to give aspirin, clopidogrel, 300 and 600 milligram. So basically, 4 tablets of 75 milligram ecosprin, or eight tablets of 75 milligram clopidogrel will suffice. So what happens is 60 to 70% of the mortality is benefited by giving these tablets. So then is what you have to do is, if immediately you have, if severe ST elevation is there and you have, the patient is immediately referred, you have to go for 6 hours. Within 6 hours, you have to go for thrombolysis. So thrombolytic agents are there, tenecteplase is there, alteplase is there, reteplase is there, streptokinase is old, but still there, still used. So you have to go for that. So how you can, another management is medical management. You can give sarbitrate, you can give morphine for pain relief and vasodilator. Then you can go for BP management. Then you can go for BP management, ramipril and all other beta blocker. You have to go for beta blocker. You have to give metoprolol also. Then if a patient presents with acute LVF, you have to immediately give diuretics. As you all know, torsemide, spironolactone, and this torsemide is very good combination for acute LVF and other. But basically, you have to acutely manage. You have to manage with injections basically. So after that, you can go for these agents. So then is basically you have to these, after medical management, you have to see whether patient can go for cardiological evaluation, angiography, so to see for stenosis, and then stenting has to be done, PCI has to be done. So basically these are further management options. Then is you have to, very important is prevention. So basically what we can do for prevention, basically you have to have your BP management. Basically in our society, BP is very this ignored part of blood pressure management. So what you have to do is, basically you have to manage your blood pressure, and you have to keep it now in the normal range. In the normal range is basically 130 and 80 diastolic. 130 systolic, 80 is diastolic. So basically the old fashion is 120 by 80. If by you go by sprint trial, you can manage by these medications to control it for this keep it in the range of 120 by 80. But nowadays guidelines is you can go up to 129 is the normal, and this 80 is the normal for diastolic. So basically how you have to manage. BP is managed by antihypertensive agents. Very important. There are several options available for young. Telmisartan, of course, amlodipine, of course, CCBs are there, beta blockers are there for another group of patients. Then you have diuretics. Then you have other this combined alpha beta blockers. Then you have even thiazide like diuretics. Then you have varied options are there. Basically, vasodilators are there. Then is salt restriction is there, prevention. Then is your type, this meditation is there. Then lifestyle modifications are there basically. So these are various management options. So basically prevention part is basically important in that sense that you have to manage your blood pressure. You have to manage your sugar levels, because in sugar patients, this is silent. Myocardial infarction is silent in sugar patients in 30 to 40% of the cases. And then in patient suddenly lands up in congestive cardiac failure, because patient, what happens is hypertensive damage is occurring for many years. Patient suffering from hypertensive heart disease presents to you with the cardiomyopathy, presents to you with the AF, presents to you with tachycardia induced cardiomyopathy, presents to you with VTAC, VFib, presents to you with AF. Obesity, you have to weight management, you have to do. So these all are basically prevention parts. Then it is very important that how you manage in the long term. So in the long term, you have to have on statins, ecosprin after MI, BP should be kept, very rigorous management should be there. Sugar part you have to manage. You have to manage heart rate. Heart rate you have to manage in the range of 60 to 80. There is no other option because it is very important. Then you have to go for cardiometabolics also. Then you have to go for blood pressure management. Then you have to go for vasodilators, and you can also in intervention part you can deal with. So this is there. Then you have to post MIA. How do you manage the complications? So complications are basically congestive heart failure. Congestive heart failure blocks, this fibrillation AF. Then you have strokes, thrombotic events. All have to manage. So first of all, antiplatelet therapy. If in the ventricle, if you find some clot or some cardiomyopathy, you have to go for anticoagulation, even anticoagulation also. Then you have to go for this diuretics if complication. If BP is higher, very important you go for spironolactone and torsemide combination oral. So it is very important you go for either spironolactone. Now the newer agents are eplerenone and other, very important. So torsemide and eplerenone combinations are very good nowadays. Then you have to go for this beta blockers. Metoprolol is there. Other for cardiac heart failure, bisoprolol is there. Carvedilol is there for kidney failure patients. Then other patients, the other calcium channel blockers are there for rate control, like diltiazem is there. Then you have other rate controlling agents. So you have to go for, basically this is combination regime. You have to be individualistic in that. No two patients may require same dose and same combination of drugs. You have to vary according to individualistic needs. So it is very important you manage complications as vigorously as you manage myocardial infarction, because post MI complications are very alarming basically. So you have to be very careful in this management of myocardial infarction. Then you have to prevent it first of all. Then if you have hospitalized the patient, you may investigate properly by ECG, EKG, echo, and then you manage. Various management options are there depending on the time of presentation, depending on territory of involvement, depending on your ST elevation, and depending on your complications. So this is the review for myocardial infarction. That's all. Thank you.